society still doesn't separate artist from the art.
The point is this: when you set a system of inquisition in society, it's very possible and very likely that the same instruments that you use against others will one day be used against you.
She apparently took them to Amsterdam and made them eat bananas from prostitutes' vaginas.
Or the other guy in America who wants to be a female lizard and now he's a female lizard and has removed her nose. I don't know how to.
Welcome to Culture Gone Bad, a podcast hosted by Alexandra Saushkina
and Jupi Daura. Join us for a seductive spectacle of cruelties and paradoxes in current events, fashion tragedies, and cultural symbolisms.
This show will leave you with lots of ideas, thoughts, contradictions, and self-reflection, which is so much needed in this cruel and mad world. Jupi, do you listen to Lizzo music?
I do not know a single song that Lizzo made. I know who Lizzo is, and I think everybody in the world today knows who Lizzo is, especially these days, but no, never heard a song. You?
I don't know. I would be surprised if she is very popular in China. I don't know. She doesn't strike me as an Asian performer.
Asian favorite. No, yeah, probably not.
Anyway, no, I was just reflecting on the fact that I think both you and I are very westernized, and we live in a paradigm of society constructed by philosophies, pop culture, values, which are very Western. And I think because we all are products of society in which we live, which raised us, which we experience every day, I think we often make assumptions what everyone else will know who one is, because we think in our culture this person symbolizes something. But when we probably will be very surprised, like we go to India or China or elsewhere, and maybe we will find out what actually celebrities and thinkers who we recognize so much here were nobody there, and only like maybe actual marginalized people know them, which will be a big cultural shock. Anyway, having said that, I think I heard a few songs of her. The reason being, I heard some people mentioning her, and everyone always expressed some sort of a weird admiration about her. And I don't know, I saw some of her videos. I found them very uninspiring. And I don't know, her music is very, tacky. Not very, like, it's very catchy. I think it's a TikTok style music, right? And it's not very, stimulative, like, compared to my favorite Lana Del Rey, which really, digs deep into my heart. Lizzo didn't manage to do that. Well, however, she managed to dig really deep in other people's hearts. So they applied to have a job with her.
Yes. I think the reason I had the same experience, like people really praising her. And I think they praise her because she appears to be brave, because we reached a point in our society where bravery is measured in pounds. And that is getting out of hand, really.
Oh my God, it's summer season, it's holiday season coming up. I keep on seeing these videos online where they show these brave women occupying few seats on the plane. I'm a bit concerned if I don't know, GP, you are a premium man. You only fly first class, aren't you? So probably it's not a concern for you.
I used to. Now I don't.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Imagine if you arrive and your seat is occupied by a brave woman. What are you gonna do?
If it's occupied, you can't sit. But yeah,
I don't know. You can sit on her lap.
To be fair, Lisa would only go to. She would have a first class, so she wouldn't have problems of space. Yeah, so she hired these dancers, big girls, big black girls, who were very, very happy to work with Lizzo because they said, finally, my talent as a dancer is recognized. Finally, I'm being hired by a woman who looks like me. Finally, I will not be discriminated because finally I have somebody who does not represent the oppressive society of skinny white bitches, etc., etc., etc. Well, guess what? It didn't pay off. Okay, guess what? The woman who on paper was the most perfect representative of championing diversity and diverse beauty ideals turned out to be a nightmare to them, and they ended up suing her. Two of them were fired by her, and one resigned from being a dancer. And obviously Lizzo says that what they say is not true, and they say it's true. Yeah, what's your thoughts about this?
I think probably my biggest takeaway from this story is that our society still doesn't separate artists from the art. We somehow want our celebrities, our leaders, our performers to be on a high moral ground side. We want them to be virtuous, we want them to be fair, just, we want them to demonstrate some sort of qualities which make our society more equal. But this is complete nonsense because there are many examples in a history where you have amazing artists, both in music, in painting. Think about Picasso, think about Michael Jackson. I think it's very difficult to find an argument to say what Picasso is not a genius with how he painted his works. And it is impossible to say that Michael Jackson is not a genius of music with everything, like how he performed, how he danced, the lyrics, the messages of his song.
Costumes.
Yes, it's all absolutely marvelous. However, every time I read his story from their personal lives, I find it quite disgusting, like both Picasso and Michael Jackson. And what I do, I think, you know what? I recognize that the artist, their work is what I enjoy. I disconnect the person from their craft. And I think this is what we often miss in our society. Because look, we're not spiritual guides, we're not moral leaders, we're not politicians. These people, in the end of the day, in the very dry end, they work in entertainment industry. And this is what we do, and we should recognize it.
I think that's it. You hit a chord. They are not moral guides, but in our secular world where we lost any idea of God and religion, and I'm an atheist, so I'm not wishing that we went back, but we look for those moral gurus somewhere else, and they have become celebrities because they've lost all of the others. However, I wanted to add to your point one element, actually two thoughts. You see, the point here is not whether Lizzo really did those things or not. Okay, because you are totally right. We in our society, the cardinal sin of our society is that we mix the good with the beautiful. We expect artists to be, if they're great artists, to be also morally good. And this has never been true. And I don't see one reason why this should be true. I know plenty of morally righteous people, morally good people who are terrible artists or not even particularly skilled in anything, and morally they're fantastic. So we should mix those two things. But regardless of this, let's say that Lizzo didn't do what they accuse her of doing. But Lizzo did point the finger at other people. Okay, the point is this: when you set a system of inquisition in society, it's very possible and very likely that the same instruments that you use against others will one day be used against you. Okay, if you set a society, if you base a society on a witch hunt, one day you may become hunted by the witch hunters. So this is the first thing. So if this was true when society was doing it of somebody you didn't like, then it has to be true now that they're doing it to you. If this instrument is a good instrument, then it applies every time. You cannot choose when it's right and when it's wrong, right? If the accusation coincides with guilt, then it's always true, if you believe so. Otherwise, maybe your idea was wrong from the very beginning. You shouldn't have pointed the finger at people from the very beginning. And this is one thing. The second thing is that Lizzo made, as you were saying initially, a career out of launching messages. Now, I believe that art is not concerned with messages. Artists should not be concerned with messages. Messages are something that marketing should be concerned with, not art, generally speaking. And I don't care which messages people launch. And the reason why I think it's dangerous to rely so much on messages when they are coming from musicians or artists, etc., is that if somebody becomes famous because of the messages they launch, then their business is the message. Then they will use it because it's their business, not necessarily because the message is right, not necessarily because they believe in it. And I think Lizzo it strikes me as somebody who used the message a bit too much, and that eventually backfired. The message has become the business. Okay, I don't want to speak about the quality of the music because I don't know anything, but I'm talking about
maybe there is no quality.
Maybe there is none, but I am not the best person to assess this. But I'm just talking about this reliance on message, that everybody wants to be an advocate. Essentially, what aspiring or potential advocates are doing is that they are turning something that society desperately needs into a business, and that is, I think, even unethical under certain conditions. So
I don't know. I found these stories of her ex-employees, to be honest, on the edge of being quite, I don't know, ridiculous, right? Apparently, she was racially discriminating them, considering they're from the same race.
Yeah. And body shaming them.
Body shaming them. And then she apparently took them to Amsterdam and made them eat bananas from prostitutes' vaginas, which... I just don't know. What do you make out of it? Like,
it's tragic, but it's also ridiculous. Can you imagine? I think when these people become moral guides, what happens is that they mistake themselves for real gurus, for holy figures. Everything is allowed to them. I'm Lizzo. I am looked at. I'm respected. You should listen to me. I can preach you morally. Therefore, everything I do is infused with sanctity. I think this is.
I don't know, this sounds a bit like, Charles Manson to me, like vibes. Like, it sounds like, you found yourself in a cult and they say, like, you've got to wire all your money to our bank account because tomorrow.
But do you remember that Charles Manson had this idea that he wanted to align with the Black Panthers?
Yeah.
So essentially, he was joining this idea of fighting racial discrimination, which is a good thing, but he was doing it because that's what manipulative people do. They align with good causes because it's more difficult then to call you out if you have a good message, right? So good messages are devious sometimes. And also, this reminds me a little bit of Meghan Markle when there were rumors from the House of Windsor that she that she abused a lot of members of staff. And Meghan Markle had always spoken for the women should be believed, women should be listened to, women this, women that. And then those women who were allegedly abused by her, they couldn't speak because they were under what's the name of the non-disclosure agreement. Non-disclosure agreement. So if you believe that women should be listened, why don't you cancel those non-disclosure agreements and let the women speak? It cannot be only something that is good when it benefits you. If you believe it is a principle, then it has to be a principle all the time, even when it doesn't benefit you. So yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if Meghan Markle has been to Amsterdam.
I am sure Prince Harry has, and I'm sure he ate bananas too.
I mean, yeah, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, it sounds like, oh, we can dress up as Hitler and who was it, Josephine, and we can go to Amsterdam and yeah, have a jolly time. We
Yeah,
just need to make sure everyone signs and disclosure before.
Yeah.
Speaking of extreme experiences, Drippy, we've been looking at many extreme body modifications videos together.
Yes. I'm a fan of these extreme body modifications.
I
Are
mean,
you
there's
not?
something perverted and addictive. I don't know. I don't find probably bodily modifications in terms of surgery that interesting. However, having said that, I do have friends who, I don't know, got like a six-pack surgery, like this type of thing. And I always felt like, so you're gonna have like a beer belly and then a six-pack on top of that. Like, that is a very interesting concept. I'm more
But
fascinated often, by people like having this extreme manicures, extreme pedicures, extreme eyelashes, which I think actually became norm. Like I was,
yeah.
I don't know where I was. I was in some public place, and there were maybe 15 women, and I realized we all have extreme manicures and extreme eyelash extension. I was like, well, I'm a minority now.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they are on a spectrum really, because invasiveness is really on a spectrum, meaning what
Yeah.
can be invasive to different people is maybe different. Even though nails and eyelashes, you can remove them. Certain body modifications, once you go that direction, you can't.
Can you
Now,
remove six-pack?
yeah, no, exactly. Yesterday I saw a guy, and this guy had a clearly fake six pack, like made with liposuction, and it was so visible, and I felt so sorry for him, because I thought probably he was visibly homosexual, of a middle-aged homosexual, and I felt sorry for him because it was clear that that was not a product of gym and diet. And it's like, really, I mean, I would give you a chance if you had a belly, but without belly and with this fake, clearly fake, non-fit six-pack, it's really sad. But I think there is a difference between doing plastic surgery to improve one's own appearance, like doing, I don't know, lip injections or a lifting even, or breast augmentation, and doing these extreme body modifications that people do, like, I don't know, a person wanting to look like the German woman who is transitioning to be black, and she has already had tanning injections and huge boobs, and or the guy who wanted to be Korean and now has detransitioned. He wanted to be a Korean woman and now he has detransitioned, or the other guy in America who wants to be a female lizard and now he's a female lizard, and has removed his nose, her nose, I don't know how to, nose, has removed all teeth except to the canine teeth, and has the lizard skin tattooed all over the body. So I think there is a difference between doing plastic surgery, which I love plastic surgery, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to come across as moralistic, and doing those extreme things. And yes, on a small extent, you do see them on the streets, people with very thick lashes, which do not have a place in nature, do not occur
They
in
look like
nature.
windscreens, like which you switch on when your
Yes.
front window needs to be cleaned.
Exactly that, or those nails. But I think that the reason why they are becoming so popular today is obviously because of Instagram, because people want to be relevant, and in a world where relevance is, in a world that is so competitive, people, to be relevant, need to go the extra mile, the extra mile, the extra mile, and this extra mile is being pushed. And this is very difficult even to tell the difference between body dysmorphia, which is a condition similar to OCD, an obsessive compulsive condition, and and when it's just a choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's very interesting. On one hand, I think there's nothing beautiful there because, we all have fetishes and obsessions, but beauty is arguably something symmetrical, proportional, something which looks healthy and balanced. It just, and sometimes it has nothing to do with attraction, actually.
No,
And
exactly. No, it doesn't.
I think attraction is to do with personal traits more than anything. Like, the most ugliest person can be the most charismatic and attractive. However, beauty is something which is actually quite standardized. Beauty is not about extremes. Beauty is more about balance. And I find this obsession with extremes interesting because I think, you give a very unique cases example, like a lizard human. But
Yeah.
but what I'm trying to say, I think with manicures, nails, lip injections, they became like everyday maintenance now. However, they are extreme. If you if you would see these people like 50 years ago on the street, they would look very interesting, with these nails and eyelashes. And it also became a big business of capitalism. I now see like all women have nails done. Pretty much all women have their eyelashes done, and probably a specific percentage of men as well. And I find it quite interesting. I do get comments sometimes from women saying to me, "Oh, why don't you go and do this as well?" And it's very interesting what I think with extreme beauty body modifications, in a softer form, they can become more mainstream and actually make our society uglier on average. Because look, like with manicures, right, with like fake nails, they probably look very pretty for the first week. After that, they start to grow out, and you have this ugly like bit of your
Growth.
actual
Yeah.
nail sticking out. And when in 2 weeks, it actually looks disturbing. Like these things, like they are perfect for performance. They're perfect for like some sort of occasion. In the long run, they need some extreme maintenance. So I think this beauty, or let's say beauty industry modifications, they are actually not realistic. They are very strange. And I think nothing is more disturbing than to see someone with these nail extensions, which have grown out for months. One nail has fallen off, one eyelash has fallen off, and I mean, they need some extreme maintenance and fixture at this time. It's like, this ending scene of Death Becomes Her situation. This is what I think our society is
when they
starting to look.
start to fall apart. But I think it's the beauty. Obviously, I was talking about. You are right. Truly extreme. You are talking about the extreme that happens on the everyday lives around us. I
Yeah.
was talking about the actual extremes, which is what fascinates me from even from a clinical point of view. But what you're talking about, I think, aligns more with fashion and trends. And you are totally right. It's nothing to do with those things. Have nothing to do with beauty. They have to do with newness. Trends exist not because they're beautiful. Trends exist because they're new, and newness trumps beauty very often in fashion in general. And one characteristic of beauty trends, if you compare fashion trends and beauty trends, is that fashion trends are a little bit slower than beauty trends, because makeup especially is more exposed, and this is one of the reasons why it's more quicker and it's cheaper than fashion. Therefore, they are more available, and therefore they change more often. Okay, so the 6 months that a fashion trend needs to, to be fully consumed, a seasonal fashion trend takes much less and beauty is not part of the game. And in fact, the fact that they fall apart, as you're saying, I think is intimately linked to the idea of trends. Because why do trends exist? Trends exist to show to society that you are a winner, because you can buy into newness. Buying into newness is a luxury. If you can keep your nails on trend all the time you are showing society that you have achieved something. You have the luxury of caring about your nails. But then when trends trickle down, people still want that dream, but they cannot keep up with it. And that is exactly what shows the difference between who is ahead with trends, who can really cope with trends, and who lags behind. So I think that is actually the point of trends, showing that you succeeded, but if you are not at the top, you are just showing that you failed.
Oh, Giuseppe, I have a question. Like, for example, lizard person, what do we do for living? What sort of job we have?
Look, you have to look into this person because I've been watching documentaries. The guy was a homosexual, very in the gay scene, even a handsome man, Latino American, a handsome man.
So you can probably meet him on Grindr.
You could many years ago. Now he's an old man, actually an old woman.
Are you discriminating? Are you practicing ageism right here?
I am practicing every ism that is possible. Zooism, I don't know how it's called. Hate for animals. No, and then the guy was diagnosed with HIV. And being diagnosed with HIV at the time was a pretty rough thing. It's not like today. Today, it's just a condition that you can live a normal life with. But at the time was very dramatic. So the guy had a shock and started to do body modification to be turned into a lizard, removed all the teeth except canines, doesn't have a nose, doesn't have ears. It's literally what we would probably call a monster. But I think has a lot of depression, and then simultaneously also change sex. Now, one thing that I noticed that these people, a lot of times when they want to do these extreme body modifications, many times this is a comorbidity with gender dysphoria. A lot of these people then transit, like the Ken doll who became Barbie doll, Rodrigo or Jessica Alves is called, or the guy who wanted to be Korean and then he wanted to be a Korean woman and then now went back. So very often it's together with. So what they do on a daily life, I think this person lives with some welfare in America, because I don't imagine this person working.
So this is the thing. This is what gets me about all this. Like, people are not practicing this because we made money and this is their disposable income which we spend as we wish. We're actually using social welfare benefits to turn themselves into a lizard. Like, isn't it a perfect case study for questioning all the social benefits which many systems globally provide? Like, seriously.
Yes. Yeah. No,
like,
I was
like, money is difficult to make. You have to work hard. And, like we were discussing, like Jordan Peterson says, you have to clean your room, you have to get your life together to function in this life. But then, why bother when government can pay so you can become a lizard human? Like,
now, this is an excellent point. First of all, I was just speculating on this guy, on this lizard person, because or this lady, because I actually don't know how they live, but I was just saying so because I watched many documentaries with this person, and clearly I don't see what kind of is never mentioned the work. He used to have a career, I think, in banking or so. But you're right in what you say, and the argument against what you say is exactly what I believe, by the way. But the argument against that is that people would say the state should not be kind of telling people how to spend their money, because that's like babying.
Yeah, but this is taxpayers' money, right? Like,
yeah,
so,
I know. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just get everyone transform into lizards so we can have people who work and pay taxes and we can have lizard society. Jesus.
You know what is the other complication in this equation, in this thing, and this is one of the reasons why I'm fascinated by these extreme cases, is that these people are not happy just saying I'm doing this because I like it. Okay, as I said, I'm a big fan of plastic surgery. The reason why I didn't do a lot is because I cannot afford it. It's not because I have a moral
I mean, Drippy,
bias against it.
come on, just turn to welfare benefits and you can become the
Exactly,
person of your dreams.
exactly, the person of my dreams. But these people who use plastic surgery a lot or body modifications a lot, they always make the same argument, which is a very new thing. If you look at old plastic surgery documentaries, you don't see this, but today they all say the same thing. This is my identity.
And I used to work for Lizzo.
This is my identity, and this what this means is that if this is identity, then it becomes very difficult to tell those people don't do it, you know. So the trick today is whatever problem you have, whatever thing you want to achieve, just say it's identity. Make it born this way, like the Lady Gaga idea, right? Make it born this way, because if it's identity, nobody can tell you you're wrong. And I think this is the problem. And you know, if I want to get lip injections or fillers or stuff, I do it because I want to be hotter, not because I think being hotter is my identity. Come on.
Well,
I don't go to the
mean,
gym.
the thing is, Drippy, lip injections, six-pack, Botox, unfortunately, they will not make you hotter. Maybe you will like to look at yourself in the mirror, but it's also arguable. Maybe your pictures will look better, but in the end of the day, you're not going to be hotter socially.
No, yeah, fine, true. No, what I meant is if I diet and go to the gym, which arguably will make you hotter, okay, even things that do make you hotter, people always, when they want to justify extreme things, what they would say is, this is my identity, this is what I have trapped inside, and I am actually matching my outside to my inside. This is what they would say. Everything becomes identity. There are things that actually make you hotter, like gym, right? Gyms, steroids for some people and stuff like that, but even so, this is what you want to become. This is wanting to be hotter is a perfectly legitimate thing. But why does everything need to become my identity? Why does everything need to be naturalized in this way? Your identity, darling, is not something that you decide yourself. This is the big mistake of contemporary individualistic societies, which I love individualism to an extent, but this is the downside of it, because your identity is a negotiation that you make with society and with others. Okay, so I think this making everything your identity is today's narrative, and I think is a little bit almost a moral blackmail. When I don't have any other arguments, no, this is my identity.
It's just problematic.
And then the state has to pay for it, because if it's my identity, then the state has to pay for it. Why should the state not validate my identity? That's the thing.
It's I mean, well, who cares at this point? Like, it also doesn't have to be true, right? Like, if you say I identify as a hot person, no one can argue with that.
No, exactly. That's why my new pronouns are super hot and super hotter.
Regardless of how much you loved or hated this episode, now you absolutely must subscribe, leave us a comment and give us a like.
Because remember, love and hate are one step away from each other. Till next time, culture gone bad says goodbye.